Everyone, just checking the cameras here. Make sure if I flip, we got the right focus here. Give me a second. I didn't have a chance to check this out in advance. And make sure you guys get the full mixing here. Hey everybody, I see somebody's here. So welcome to Tuesday's Live. We have a schedule up here, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11 a.m. on YouTube, Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. on YouTube. We're going to try to stick to that schedule. Tuesdays will focus mostly on epoxy, not that I won't throw some other things in the mix. Thursdays will focus mostly on water-soluble media like acrylic. And we'll see how this goes. I did a test yesterday with some third-party software, and it looks like I should be able to start scheduling stuff in advance, and you guys will be able to go into that room and see me there, and we'll be able to build up a larger group on the live. So, of course, as usual, we're going to focus on mica first. There's always a fun tip of the day. So, wish I could hear you guys' response, but have you ever heard of the term tack time? T-A-C-K, like tact. Hi, Kathleen McGee, how are you? Certain adhesives, hi, Terry. Certain adhesives have a permanent tack time, like hot melt glue has a permanent tack time till you rub something on it. Mica will grab it. The glue they use for gold leaf has a permanent tack time. Hi, Lori. It's permanent means it has that tack until you apply the gold leaf or something on it. Hey, John. So I want to show you a piece that was done by a friend years ago. Her name's Betsy Roberts. And she had taken this gourd. Now, word of warning, gourds are very dangerous to carve the inside of. You got to have full gloves, everything to protect yourself. Thank you, honey. When you're playing with the inside of gourds, because it's very dangerous. Yeah, you see she signed this piece. Let's see, what year was it? I don't know if I can see the year it was. But do you see the texture on this? All she did was take this gourd and sand it, right? And put a glue on the outside. I don't think it was Mod Podge that dried with this texture and a tack. And believe it or not, all she did was rub Stargazer Primer Elements. It looks like she's got some of our copper in there. A little bit of gold on the bottom, if you can see, and look at the gold on the bottom. The inside, it's really interesting how the fiber on the inside really picked up the color. And it was all from this adhesive that had created this tack. This is a beautiful piece. I love to show people this because it's crazy what the primer elements will do. Hi, Pam. How you doing, sweetheart? If it's put on something that has a tack. Okay, so resin also has a tack. Are you aware, some people may or may not know this, that resin has a window, a tack window, meaning it starts to set up, and it depends on how thick or thin your mold is. Hi there, darling. That somewhere between your 6 and 8 hour of cure time, it will be safe to pull it out of the mold, but it still is pliable. A lot of people will put them in a bowl for candy dishes. Put them in a bowl to press them in there to try to make a trinket or a candy dish. I've seen this one lady on Instagram completely bend them into shapes, and she made trinkets. And email me, best way to ask questions. Hey, Judy. And we're not open today, guys, but you can email me at leslieohnstad.arte@gmail.com. And certainly not here on YouTube Live, but you can ask about your orders, and you're welcome, sweetheart. So what I wanted to show you real quick is That window of time that resin has, it's got a tack time, meaning from 6 hours to about 12 hours, you can put mica on it and it will grab it. Take a look at this. Take a look at these pieces. So this was done with the nickel, don't even pay attention to my strips, nickel Azo gold and the golden peach. You can see the really pretty color in the resin, right? But as I pulled this out, I rubbed the golden maple on it. I'm looking for my jar. This golden maple on it. And wow, wow, wow. This is permanent. It won't rub off. That gold does not rub off. So that's your tack time, okay? So when you're playing with your resin projects and you want to put a little something around the edges, you don't have to use a gold pen. Look at this. Look at this. That's not going to rub off. This was a test for a piece I wanted to do for the cornucopia event, and I learned that by putting your resin on something matte, see how the back is matte? It doesn't come out transparent. But this sure was a good test to prove tack time for people on camera. So that's your tip of the day as far as a new word to learn is your tack time, okay? So as I promised on Tuesdays, we are gonna play with resin mixing. I want to bring up the subject of the primary elements again. I got another question from somebody over the weekend. Why can't they put primary elements directly in resin? Well, primary elements is ground color. And to show you the example, they're pure ground color in mica. Sorry for cutting that short. They're made out of ground color. And by the way, color starts in a dry state. It has to be suspended to be put into a liquid state. So this color is called Love Struck, and it's a beautiful deep red, or I'm sorry, Vavoom red. It's a beautiful deep red. And yet if we put it in resin, we're gonna get moon rocks. But first, or big clunky rocks. Let's first look what this looks like with just water. So you can see the actual color. I'm just taking some water and several beads of color on here. Wow, I have way too much color on that brush. It's gonna take a whole lot to dissolve that down, and I kinda don't wanna taint. I'll break some of this up. I don't wanna taint my water. I have a little bit of water here that I'm using. But I think you get the point that this is an actual red. Let's see if I can take my finger and put that on there. So it's a really nice, deep bloody red. Okay. Now, this is our Crimson Lust. It's just pure mica powder. Most people get our reds and they'll sit and say, oh my goodness, you sent me the wrong jar. It looks gold. And I say, you know, our powders are deceiving. They're expecting this when they order something red. They think they're just going to get a red mica powder. And they don't understand it. It makes sense if they get something that kind of looks goldish until you put some color in it. But just to visit this one more time, this is what our Ember Fire would look like on the paper. It's real pretty. It's real pretty red. But that color is a coating that's on there. There's no color in it. Eventually this will move to the back because it's not made with color. I have one other color I want to show you because we're going to put both of these in resin and I want you to see the before and after. Olivine. Oops. Yeah, I was afraid I was going to taint that water. Olivine is a really popular green that we've got. Sorry guys, my camera looks like it's a little bit off here. What's gold in the jar, Lori? Yeah, I'll tell you what, that hot cinnamon throws everybody off because it looks like it's gold in the jar. So here is our olivine. Wow, I just love how this keeps shifting back and forth with the gold and the green. right? Add a little bit more color this. Work this out, even though there's a little bit of red in there. Yeah, the hot cinnamon, I know, you're right. Yes, I'm in love with olivine. I'm in love with this color olivine. Okay, but let's answer the question, can we put primary elements directly into resin? You shouldn't. There are some colors that may appear to behave that they're going to work correctly. That's because they're super, super soft and powdery. Colors like our Guatemalan green or Stargaze are the ones that don't have very little color in them, and they're ground up really, really well with a mica. Like this one Papillon from the Dragonfly Wing set. This is so light and delicate. If you beat this in, it's going to give you the illusion that there's color. But if we dissolved it, you'd get even more. So first, let's answer this question about the primary elements and the resin. And I'm going to start with this Vavoom red. So just going to pour off a little bit. I'm not going to waste a whole lot of resin to show you what happens with the Vavoom red in this cup. So watch closely. See if I can't get my spoon here to do this for me. My camera seems all off today. Sorry, guys. I'm feeling a little bit lost here. By the way, Merry Christmas. And a lot of banks and everybody seems to be closed today, so unboxing day is real today, man. We actually get that extra day off. Okay, so I'm just going to put a pinch in here. Even though it says pinch, I'm not even going to fill it all the way up, because I want you to see firsthand what happens. And yes, I'm intentionally using the red because in my humble opinion, the most important part of the red is the red, not the mica. Do you see that? See what happens when the primary elements hits the resin? I tell people this, they don't necessarily believe me. Now, the browns, the reds, you're going to get this with. I have had people push the envelope and say, oh, the dragonfly wing colors work great. They may give the illusion that they do. Only because, like I said, it's been beaten up finer. But not really. This color isn't going to, this definitely clumped. This will clump a little bit less, but the color, because the color's been broken down. And so I've had people like Petra Youngblood, she's in the Netherlands. See, it looks like it's mixing more in there. And because people can see some kind of interference, right? They're thinking it's all good. But it's actually not. And you know what? I forgot to put my Vivid Art fluid on my table. Bear with me. Get my bottle. So a lot of you may ask me, well, if you can put acrylic paint in resin, why won't it work? Well, the color is in a solid state when it's in the primary element. It has to be dissolved, right? Yes, Vivid Art fluid, John. Now, any pure acrylic emulsion that has no thickener will work, okay? We just happen to bottle it for you guys. You can use this mix with 50-50 water and tighten up your canvases. There's a lot of people that use this as in place of water for a watercolor effect when they want to paint on their texture art with primary elements. But for this particular exercise, okay, we're going to pre-dissolve some of that Love Struck, that gummed up on this, just a little bit. You need twice the pigment than you need this. You just need enough to turn it into a paste. Kind of like when you're making cookies and you're taking butter and sugar and beating it together until they finally become one, but it really doesn't become solid till you melt that butter and sugar together, right? So same kind of concept. Now, why you want an acrylic emulsion with no thickener? You can put acrylic paint in resin. but the more viscosity in the resin, the more viscosity in your paint, meaning thickness, like heavy body, medium body, the shorter your working time. If you can infuse pure acrylic color into your resin without that thickener, woo hoo hoo, hey Louise, you know, then you've got the bomb diggity, which is kind of the whole point of the purely pigments going directly in the resin, because now we can put pure archival color directly in our resin. But these, a lot of people own the primary elements. There's some beautiful colors in the primary elements, and they want to use them in their resin. So let's look at how. Okay, I'm going to flip this over again. Hey, Louise. Okay, so I'm going to try to do just a tiny bit so we can do this side by side. I don't want to waste anything here. I'll take my spoonful of this Vavoom Red and see, it really does look like crunchy powder, right? Crunchy powder. So Louise had a show today. Good show today then, Louise. I didn't see it, but good show. If they say it's good show, I need to go back and watch you, baby. Okay, I'm only going to put a couple drops in here. I'm not trying to turn this into an acrylic paint. What I'm trying to do is break this into a paste. It's got a lot of color in it, man. I probably picked the wrong one to do on camera just because it's going to take a while to really break down. But this is real time. And my opinion when it comes to making reds for you, yes, everybody loves a metallic red and it looks all pretty. But to me, the most important part of the red is the red. I can always add more shimmer. So these colors, these red colors have a whole lot of pigment in them. I could have done a really big batch on camera, but I don't want to waste this, you guys. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm kind of muddling it up, okay? And now let's add some resin to it. You don't have to worry about that acrylic. It's okay. It can accept it. Whether I got it beaten down as good as the rest, you guys. Hi, Megan. Sitting at home being patient doing this. Wow. Okay. Woohoo! You see that? And even though the love stick's not quite as transparent as, say, it would be an acrylic, I'm seeing quite a bit of shimmer and shine in that. And what a difference solubility makes, shall we say. So, same thing with that olivine. Well, as you can tell, any of them are going to do this, but it's really, really the reds and the browns that take a while to break it down. So, yes, you can put your primary elements in resin, but you do need to break them down a little bit more, and this stuff's invaluable. Like I said, I tighten my canvases with it. I use it for a watercolor effect. I've added it to a spray bottle and made my own sprays with colors in it. It's just kind of handy to have around as part of your toolbox. So I'm kind of digging that color. And like I said, huge difference. Okay, so I wanted to go over, I'm going to set these aside, guys. I wanted to go over what dried from our experiment of the metallics on Saturday. Not everybody had a chance to see this. So this kind of blew me away, how much this sparkled. Now, I rubbed a little bit of the golden maple on the top just to see what this would look like. And I rubbed a tiny bit of Harvest Fire in the top with it. And I was pleasantly surprised that it grabbed. We're back to that tack again. Sometimes when you're right at that point where your acrylic is setting up and drying, you can add special effects to the tack, but like I said, I'm lightening this just a little bit. Yeah, senior helpers, this is a sample of the Purely Pigments Metallics that we, can you use it to dissolve? Whoa, 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 whoa. You can use this to dissolve all your primary elements, but this, I wouldn't use this in every one of your paint pouring projects. It's real specific to whatever the project's in, Terry, if that's what you're asking, honey. You may want to ask it again, or we can get on the phone and talk about what you're asking. But yeah. And then here's our experiment on the black. This is that lagoon on the black texture. This would be really pretty with some resin covered on top. This, I ran that elderberry into it. Oh, you're welcome, sweetheart. And this is really, anyway, this is the feedback of this is what happened after I got off camera and what this thing did when it dried. So I still think I'm going to do a piece. This is still my favorite so far. And I know I keep showing this thing off. I'm either going to paint in the background black, the areas that are white, and just resin the darn thing. Or, you love one, oh yeah. Or, I don't know, I want to rip this off a canvas and make this a focal piece and a piece of art, like make it part of it. But I want to see resin on top of what this looks like. So, but today we promised we're going to play with some resin. Okay, I've got a couple colors here I want to mix up. Let me get the tops on some of these primary elements so we don't want to make a mess in the middle of a live, let me tell you. Okay. So we played with the holly berry last time, and this time I want to play with the pure magenta, which is made with, and I know Judy's listening, and she's on my butt if I pronounce this wrong, quinacridone violet. It's your pure magenta colors. We can't give them the technical name because our Vivid Intense has the technical names to them. So for those that you didn't see the Purely Pigments or haven't gotten them ordered, these have already shipped. They're shipping. The metallics the new metallics that are coming with the $35 free gift you guys can order now. These will not ship until just after the first of the year. The bottles got delayed and they're showing up on Wednesday. And sadly, this week is a short week. There's only a couple days in this work week. And then next week will be a 4-day work week. So more than likely, they'll ship Thursday or Friday right after the 1st is my prediction. They'll begin going out the door. First come, first serve. But the metallics are, I'm so in love with what they look like. We have a special code till the end of the year, Celebrate 23, to celebrate saying goodbye to the end of 2023. All lowercase, put it in and save 23% off your order. There's my spiel. Now, I have people already commenting to me about the paint on the threads. Be really careful when you're done with these. Keep this clean. Remember, this is 100% pure color. It's going to dry hard and rocky. There's 3 drops. And case in point, a little bit dribbled off. I'm going to wipe off the thread of my bottle, and it's not as easy as it sounds. I just wiped off that thread because I want to keep it nice and tidy. Keep it tidy, what we're doing here. Now, the magenta is going to be a cooler red, right? I know, Mandy. We'll get them to you. Everybody wants to play with these. I am still loving the transparency, though, translucency. Like I said, you can get away with using these if you just want solid lines that have some transparency to them. I'm pretty excited with, and it's because the colors is so clean. There's no fillers, there's no junk in it. The Purely Pigment color is 100% colored. Well, I love making a mess, Terry. You know, it's better than having it sit in the drawer. Okay, so I'm going to play with some Interference blue and some of the Angelwings. And you're going, blue? Maybe. Some of you are saying blue. Some of you may not be saying blue. But we know that the micas bend those light waves and change the way you see your color. And one of the most prettiest combinations that can be had out there is a red magenta with an interference violet. It's real shifty. Yeah, magenta and blue look stunning. I mean, this is guaranteed. This is not a happy accident. I actually know what I'm doing in this point, but I've got that Angelwings in there, that opal blue, which is going to make a kind of an antique effect. And then just for the fun of it, I'm going to add a tiny bit of sparkle violet just to remind it that it's also a violet color. Bam. I saw somebody just say bam on the camera. Bam. Go as slow as I can for you guys can see how this stuff mixes up. Yeah, blue and violet immediately create this strong shift. You can see what the blue does. Completely different from the quinacridine magenta. Same 3 drops, 1, 2, ooh, 5 went into there. Sorry, I counted. And I'm gonna do, let's see, Interference red. This will be really different with sparkle violet. Let's see that sparkle violet so we can get some little difference here. That's the Interference red. This is the sparkle violet. Well, the red is going to tone it down, make it really red. You see that red in there first. See how the red kind of turns it a different color? But then that blast of violet will pop through. What's interesting is this actually has what almost doubled the quinacridone magenta. Hey, Michelle. How you doing, honey? Wow. And that red made it turn really light. So I can make it darker because I have the ability to do that. And we're going to add 3 more to this one. Let's do 3 more drops to each one. See what happens. Now this is the Interference blue and the Angelwings with the sparkle violet. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that, Michelle. All right, you got a color wheel, Megan. That's good. It's good to learn your wheel. It's going to make this so much easier when we're talking about coloring these things. Now, very, very, very different. Now, I have some molds I got. I've been digging through all of my molds. Now, these have a druzy back to them. I don't know if you can see that on them, so it's going to make them real fun when we pull them out. I thought we could play with these just a little bit. I just want to see the differences between these. Mold is a great way to get started. I got some earrings molds too. I have a young lady, Terry's daughter, makes earrings out of resin, and she sells the hell out of them. So I got some earring molds. So I thought we could test to see what happens with the resin. Now, even though a lot of people do this and they don't mind it being messy with the stick, I want to introduce something to you guys here. I'm sure a few of you have seen some people on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube starting to use syringes. And syringes are a great way to draw up your resin. They come with, there's no needle, right? They come in their own little pack. They got a little security tip on there, right? But these are a throwaway. And they're great for doing the decorative work around the edges where you want to hit some edges. Her coffin molds, I'm sure they are. But I just want to try drawing this up right on camera with you guys. And of course, it doesn't look like it wants to behave. It's not working for me. But I've seen it done. I know if I'm really careful, tilt this on a side angle and slowly draw it up. See, this is stuff you don't see in video, how hard it was for them to draw up the resin, but you can definitely see it in the live. So I've got about 3 mils here pulled up. I don't know, I know I'm switching back and forth with molds, but while I have that much up, I think I'm going to go around the edges of this mold because I can. See that? I have these, I get these off of Amazon for pretty cheap. I think there's 30, I don't know how many packs, 50 packs to the box. But they keep things clean and tidy, especially when you're playing with resin, right? Sorry, here I'm trying to be tidy and I just dribbled right in the middle of my thing. So now you guys can laugh at me that I'm dribbling everywhere. But I knew that would work, okay? So, John, you said that you thought that, of course, the metallics would work in resin. I'm pretty sure they will, okay? Get that pushed in there. I'm going to try. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I see all these people on Instagram doing these beautiful molds. I'm super envious of them. And so I do need to finish my heart over here. Let me get that done. And then I'm going to go into the center thing. I know I'm getting off. We have 18 watchers, 8 thumbs up. Thank you, Terry. See if we can get the rest. It's drawn up pretty good. Once you get this thing lubricated, it seems to draft up. I just want to make sure I get this first heart full. Before I forget about that first heart. Okay, so if I wanted to try some of the Purely pigments, I know this is probably a nutty color. But since I get to make experiments on camera that you don't, right? John, we're going to prove our theory here. We know it'll mix in. I do. You are absolutely right, Priscilla. Little silicone doohickeys are handy. And I've seen the silicone-coated mixing spoons, too. They're really hot. So this is the Lagoon, one of the metallics in the new metal colors. We've not seen what these do dropped into resin directly. Are they going to react because they have a varnish base to them? Let's see what it does. Well, there is a slight reaction to this. Oh, that's really pretty. Well, it looks like it is. What I was hoping for is if I drop it in the center here, I get a reaction. You know how the alcohol ink gives you a reaction? And they seem to draft up in the center? I love my teals. You can tell I love my teals. Yes, they could. Okay, let's see what this does, because I just put quite a bit in there, about 5 more drops. All right. Now, to be fair, I'm going to use the syringe. I know it's going to take a minute, you guys. Sorry about this. But to do it right, I want to draw it around the edge. Well, that one worked really nice. And just kind of keep my pattern around my edge here. I want to be able to put plain clear resin in the middle and see if I get a reaction. At least that's what I'm going for. I have not done any of these off camera. I have no idea how it's going to work. I sit here and dream about this stuff when I'm working. Probably just like how you guys dream about stuff. You never did use mine, Leslie. What you mean? I didn't see what you said before that. Okay, so whether this is going to be, I'm going to do one of those hearts that color too. I'm really loving it. All right, so this is messy. This is a little bit messy. Did the metallic? Yeah, this is the metallic. This is the lagoon. It blended okay. I'm just hoping that I get a reaction with the regular resin when it gets poured in there. I don't know what it's going to do. I'm just going to let it do its reaction and see if it pulls in or not. Does it pull in or not? And you can't really force this. And so many videos that we see, you know, they've sped it up, right? Or they've come back a few hours later. This is real time. So I want to see what it's actually going to do. And no, we don't have an hour to sit and watch this thing. But get my gun on here just a second. Most of them are putting some kind of solid white thing in the middle, you know, like they're mixing up white with their resin and putting a design in the middle. I suppose we could try to see what happens, and we've never done this before. I've been dying to try this, the Vivid Intense with some of this, because you can put, you know, acrylic paint and resin. We know that, right? So what happens if I put a few drops of the Titan Teal? And by the way, if you see a flu acrylic from any company and the first word is Titan, that means it's titanium based. It's got white in it, right? But how many of these videos do we see where they've taken acrylic paint, drew it in the center? Well, this is really wow, look at that. Ooh, that's pretty. So you can put a few drops of Vivid Intense in there. You never knew what, sweetheart? Wow. I'm kind of digging that color. It's real pretty. See if it'll let me draw it up in here. Because I don't have that much mixed up, to be honest. There's not enough in here really to speak of. But These are really handy little tools to have. I use my spoons and I use these all the time to measure liquid color on my table. I love these little syringes. What are you guys talking about that you never knew? I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna do some kind of spiral thing here. Oh, come on, draw up for me. I gotta get enough for it to fill up in this one little corner. I just kind of want to see what happens if I kind of do this little spiral thing. Oops. Well, if nothing else, I'm good at making a mess. Hey, Carl, how you guys doing? We're just fooling around with resin today, so looking for a clean bamboo skewer. This is fairly clean. I am no expert, but I do see them doing this. I just want to see how the paint reacts. I can go and watch a video and learn how to do this exact webbing better. But for me, this experiment is, what does the paint do? How does the paint react? Yeah, they are. Messes can be really beautiful, John. You're absolutely right. Thing is, I got to keep my tools clean here because I'm using spoons that I want to reuse. And so give me a minute, I'm going to wipe everything down with alcohol and keep the tools clean, or we can't reuse our paddles if we don't get this out. Yeah, going to drop due to titanium. You think it'll drop down? Probably. You're absolutely right. There may not be as much titanium, you're right, but the titanium, at least in acrylics, we know it drops, and it would make sense. It still could be heavy enough in resin, right? So I have no idea if I can lift this up and show you guys, but I'm just gonna let this sit and see what happens if that metallic color pulls in. So let's fill these molds up. This is that metallic. I'll even use a little syringe as just a way to move this around. The little tip on the syringe seems to be a little bit more accurate than in my stir stick. I love these druzy backed molds because one side comes out naturally sparkly like a druzy when it pulls out. So I've had this for a while. I've been digging through the house trying to find my molds because I know we're going to be playing with resin every Tuesday. Eventually, yes, I will go to a board. I will grow into that too. I think people's comfort zones, including mine, if you can work in something that's contained and it works really well, like a mold or, well, any kind of mold. I've seen people work in big cake molds, like I said, and then pull it out to put it in bowls to create like a trinket dish. Or this is a great way to get started with resin. You're not committing too much product to the project. You can clean up. I will give you the tips that Fairy Art Mother gave me. Always wear 3 pairs of gloves on your right hand because you have a tendency to be grabbing stuff with your right hand and it always gets sticky. And always have alcohol on your table because it's the cleanup for your resin. Clean up everything with epoxy with alcohol. So I've always got my paper towels and epoxy on my table. This is such a pretty red. This Vavrum red is gorgeous. And I could try to recreate that with the resin art, right? Or with the purely pigments, and I know I could, right? But this is just This volume red is beautiful right out of the bottle. No recreation needed, or right out of the jar. There's 314 colors of primary elements, and all of them pre-dissolved in the Vivid Art fluid will work. All of them will work. I think I'm gonna go with these. There's a hexagon mold that looks fun. The other one I did for the bookmarks weren't deep. This has a depth to it, so I think these are gonna be good molds to practice with. What I was imagining was, yeah, primary elements. Leslie Ohnstad .arte@gmail.com, senior. That's where I am. And you'd see the spelling of my name on the channel here. Right now, nobody's shipping anything. Today is still a holiday here. Even banks are closed. Nobody's doing anything. And it's an extra day of the holiday, everybody. So if anybody ever seen a guy by the name of Daniel Cooper, I want to give a shout out to this guy that he specializes in playing with epoxy in little bitty molds. And I love what he does. He'll sit and let his colors set up. He's working with a lot of solid colors, and then he'll do like these patterns and designs in them. I'm such a fangirl of him. Daniel Cooper, yes, Daniel Cooper is amazing. If you've never seen him, you got to go check him out. He's so good at experimenting with everything you can possibly imagine that would have to do with resin, and I find him very inspiring. Now, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm going to try to coax this out to just kind of give me the same little thing we got in the other one. This is the titanium Titan teal going into the metallics. And I'm going to be curious. So he'll sit and do these meticulous hearts where the bottom layer is just clear, and then he rubs some mica on there, and then he'll take some kind of tool to get these designs. That's where the syringes came to my mind when I was watching him. And he's just amazing. So check him out if you ever get a chance to see Dan. And but he's not an affiliate. He doesn't know me from Adam. I'm just, like I said, I'm just a fangirl. I think the guy is super talented. He's really committed to us learning. Oh, I almost, look at that. I almost got a little heart shape. Hey, if I practice enough, Mandy, look at that. It's not perfect, but I got something out of it, right? Well, I hope everybody had a really great holiday. Seriously. Oh, wow, look at this. It's starting to move. I'm going to move this back, get these off. We're getting a little reaction in the one that we're waiting on. It's starting to float. It's starting to float over here. I don't know what it's going to do, but the stuff with the metallic in it is it's starting to react and float to the resin. Through this resin, I'm seeing this top pattern happening. Yeah, these would make, you're right, these would make great magnets. We could pour magnets off during these lives and then send them to customers with their orders. They might like that. It's better than wasting the resin, right, Art CD? We don't want to waste anything. And I'm surprised, like I said, these are deeper than I expected for an earring mold, which means I'll be able to experiment with these and lay stuff on top of each other. But while we've got all this resin mixed up, I just want to pour it all out. This is that quinacridone magenta with the interference red and the sparkle violet. I'm digging my little pattern there. Yay! My first time trying that. Now you got me hooked. I'm going to have to do a bunch of those over and over and over again until I become one of those experts on Instagram that show off all those videos doing that. Maybe I can grow up to be as talented as they are. Me, I'm just the chemist experimenting with the reactions, making sure you guys are getting the colors. When we came out with resin art, I did a few resin videos experimenting with the resin, and Fairy Art Mother just kept telling me, Leslie, it's only paint. Remember, it's only paint. You can always do another layer if you want to. And I keep trying to remind myself of that because I suffer from what I call blank canvas syndrome. You're terrified of that it's not going to look like you imagine in your head, and so I'll talk myself out of painting that day because I don't want to screw up. And that's a really bad place to be. I mean, where Sarah Taylor's teaching you to enjoy the journey, you know, be part of the journey, you know, and observe the journey, be in the here and now. And that's a challenge for me. Doing these lives with you guys, though, it's kind of forcing me to be in the here and now, whether I like it or not. And that's okay. I'm getting a lot of feedback on this. People want me to continue doing these lives and keep experimenting with paint. Eventually, we'll get into really color mixing, teach you how to make a peach. I might even throw on my camera and start painting one day. It's okay, resin's going to resin. Yeah. That's okay. Resin's here to stay. It's not going away. Some people have allergies. We get it. There is a really beautiful varnish called Bright Tone made by a company called ColourArte. And if you do have an allergy, you can get a beautiful look with the ColourArte varnish. It'll even pool up in pools and give you that look. And it's just a varnish. It's just a really high quality, gorgeous varnish for those that can only work with varnish because you're allergic to resin. And we understand that some people are going to have allergies and reactions to stuff. Okay, well, I have a bunch of clear left. And I've been talking about covering up some of these pieces. And I know I'm taking a big risk here, but we're at the tail end of the video. So I think just for the fun of it, I wonder if I can use the back of this just to, if it drips. I just want to put a little resin right here to see what this looks like before we sign off. You and I both know it's going to be gorgeous. Of course, you're not getting the full effect until I tilt it up and show you, but okay, here we go. Take a look at that. What that looks under resin. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Okay, so there's another artist I just saw over the weekend for the holiday, Anne-Marie Ritterhoff. She's an old school, the girl that did the Dirty Pour in 2017. She just did a piece over the weekend, and I think I'm going to try to simulate it. She used hot melt glue to simulate her texture, but I think I'm going to try it with texture. But what do you guys think of this? I'm hearing some wowzers. We might as well do the other side. This is weird because it didn't dry the same. It's got that shiny side to the texture. And so it doesn't have the sparkle texture that has this kind of texture is going to pick up all the light waves and all the inclusions, the up and down. Here, this one's kind of smooth. Wow, it didn't even look shimmery at all. But look what it looks like Wow, on top of that texture. Wow, I wouldn't have even expected to be that pretty on this side. Holy moly. Isn't that pretty? Look at that. This is unexpected here, right? I knew this was going to be gorgeous here, but I did not expect that there. Now that's the cool thing about having the texture below and then using the metallics and then your resin on top. All those irregular heights and lows, it gives a place for the light to bounce off of. That is stunning. Just stunning, you guys. Yeah, sour apple is looking pretty amazing. Okay, baby finger. Whew, that was dangerous. I could have disconnected the feed. I need to get these gloves off with the resin on them. So I want to thank you guys for joining me, and I appreciate your support. People keep telling me to do this. I've never done so many lives in my life in a row. And it's only been, what, we're on week 2. We'll be in week 3 next week. But I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying visiting with you guys. Like I said, yesterday I worked on the beginning of the video. I worked with that OBS software. I tested it out. It's possible that by this weekend, I'll actually be able to schedule it where it's something you can see and then go in and join me in the room. Thank you, Judy. I'm trying to stick with it. By the way, Fairy Art Mother's been on my butt for years to get on camera and keep it up. So she's been nudging me and nudging me and nudging me. And I am so grateful to you, Miss Judy, for staying in my corner and not giving up on me. I am so appreciative of you. Everybody else, hope you had a great holiday. Hope you have a great New Year's. I will see you Thursday, and we'll be playing with water-soluble media, more than likely acrylic, but hey, who knows what else I might throw in the mix. In the meantime, everybody have fun, stay close to your family, give everybody a hug. I say that all the time because, guys, I don't have any family. And, you know, if you do, hug them, love them, be grateful. Life's short, okay? Life is short. And yes, senior help is, you're right. Everybody be safe, enjoy your holiday, and I will see you Thursday. Bye now.